Good morning. Good morning, everybody. We are going to do the information session for the online course, which is Managing Clinical Trials Utilizing Electronic Data Capture, which is called EDC2. And this course will be running from February 8 to March 6. It's a 3 week course that you will be going to follow up on it. So I will introduce myself and I will give you the details about the objective of the course. So my name is Farida Dagouz and I'm a statistician as a background and academic, and I have more than 20 years of international clinical research with the experience in the pharmaceutical companies, the biotech, and mainly the academic oncology group. As I mentioned, I am a statistician. I have a PhD in statistics, and I'm certified also SOCRA and SDLC ADAM, because that is the most important information that we can get to make sure about the data is a good quality of the data. As a statistician, you know, I'm interested also in the quality of the data, of course, and but from the beginning, when the data is generated, which is at the investigator side. So it's important that all the stakeholders will be understanding what we are doing in the clinical trials. And for that, I started to train the investigator and the site personnel to understand the importance of the data quality, but also the importance of why we are asking this data for the statistical analysis. So it was, I was doing also the same kind of training for the data manager, project managers, and statisticians. So we need, as a team working for clinical trials, to understand all of our activity, because the project is a data driven from the investigator side to the end, to the clinical study report, which is very important to make sure that we are doing the same understanding in terms of integrity and quality of the data. And of course, you know, being a statistician, I wanted to demystify the statistics in clinical trials, because by understanding what are we doing with the objective and the analysis, we will be making more awareness about the quality of the data. So as I do consulting in biostat and medical writing, and for now, I mean, since few years, I'm setting up a clinical operation in oncology academic group that is based in the Arabic region in Dubai. So the course is over, sorry, I said 3 weeks, but the course is over 4 modules, over 4 weeks. Each week it's based on certain objective of the course. Each week, as a participant, you will work independently. However, the way that we build the course is more collaborative work also, because we will have a participant from around the world, and we will know, I mean, to share their experience in this in data management or in statistics. So it's the first step is when you take the module, you will work independently, you will answer to this the requirement, but also you will challenge your colleagues or the other participant, and that is what we call the collaborative work. So the course is based on discussion, panel activity, and assignment. And for each of these panels, you will have to produce a work that it will be reviewed by me. Also, what we are going to provide you is as much as possible the information and the source or different documentation that will help you to do your work for each module. And also I mean, if you have any document that you want to share or any article that you want to share with the other participant, please do that, okay? So, and also one of the things that is very important to succeed this course is communication. If you have any kind of communication or any problem or any question, please let us know. If it's technical issue, please contact the SCDM. If it's related to the course, please contact me, and I will do my best to answer to you as much as possible and very quickly. But communication is a key to succeed this course. So now we will go to review the objective of each module. So here we are looking at how we can manage the clinical trial by using an EDC. So as you know, and it's more than a decade now that we moved from paper data collection to EDC process. But there is also, I will say, in some organizations, they are still using the paper because maybe they are working with site that they don't have the connection or something like that. But anyway, we are moving to this technology, and this EDC has been improved a lot because the different type of vendors, they work with the end users, and they understood the processes now better of the clinical trial. So the EDC in the 70s or 2000 are and comparing to what we have now, they are really the functionality is improved, and also the different type of application has been added to the EDC. So that is what we need to look in this during the first week. It's to look at how we can manage when we decide to do to use an EDC for a specific study or for a program, how we can manage and how we can work between a sponsor, between an EDC vendor and the CRO if a CRO is involved in this process. Of course, you know, I mean, by doing clinical trial, we know that documentation is very, very important. Documentation of training is important because and even documentation of all processes is important. So that's why we say we should have a specific SOPs when we move to EDC. And we know that if it's not documented, it means it was not done. And we know that the importance of the documentation regarding if we have any audit or if we have any inspection. So documentation is it's a key element when if we want to succeed this process of EDC. And now also we have the regulatory bodies. They did a lot of improvement also in terms of guidelines. And we need to know when we define the EDC and we are looking for an EDC to see how this regulatory, what are the requirements of the regulatory bodies within our country or within where we are going to set up the trial. So at the end of the week one, we should have this objective in terms of how are we going to implement our EDC? Do we have the SOPs? What are our processes of training? How we are also having the management of, I mean, the users, how the users will be adhering to this EDC. So we have to do a kind of analysis to make sure that when we're going to select our EDC, it will fit in our requirement and it will fulfill also our needs. The second week, we are going for another processes, which is the software development life cycle. The software development life cycle, it means for example, we selected as an EDC and you are working with a vendor. Of course, before you decide for this EDC, you have to do your due diligence, and you need to know also how this EDC has been developed, how the processes of the validation within done by the vendor, if they have completed the documentation, if they have a specific SOP. So that is something also that you need to review when you are looking for an EDC. But sometimes it may happen also that the EDC is updated during the life of the study. So when there is an update during the life of the study that they are using a specific EDC already, and you have been informed by the vendor that there is an update and an important update, you have to do your risk-based analysis and to say, okay, if I have to implement this update, or if I don't have to implement it, or well, and what is the risk based on my the study and the level of the study and where I am in terms of my data collection. That is important. Or maybe you will say, okay, there is no impact, and I can implement this EDC update. So when you implement your EDC update, you have to look also at some processes, which are the installation qualification, operational qualification, and performance qualification. I mean, you can work also with the vendor about regarding to this aspect and to make sure that you have the documentation that is required. I mean, you have it, or maybe the vendor has that, but just make sure that it was done and it was reviewed and it was validated and documented. So that has to be also defined at the service level agreement, because when you select your EDC, you need to look at all these aspects and to discuss them with the vendor. Of course, we always have to follow the regulation in terms of security, and we know that, for example, for the FDA, we have the CFR Part 11. That is very important guidelines that is used during the processes of development, and also during the installation and the implementation of an EDC for a specific study. So in terms of, for the objective of the week 2, we will look more on system processes than only as a study processes, okay? So the next week, what are we going to look? It's, as was what I have mentioned, is to look at how we can implement update of a specific EDC during a mid-study. So how we can do that? And these updates may happen. It may happen as a small update that doesn't have any impact on the study, but they may have other update that has the impact on your study. So if you work with a vendor, or if you work, for example, with the CRO, you need to do your risk-based analysis and to see what are we going, how your data will be impacted by this update, and also how the process of your data entry will be impacted on that. Because don't forget, if there is any change, you need to inform your site who is doing the data entry. So to know how it is, you have to, I mean, as I explained, there is a script for the data validation that needs to be done, and testing, and you need to keep all this testing and to make sure that at the end you have a user acceptance of UAT, what we call a UAT. It's user acceptance testing before you put your data, before you put your study live. Also, how to assess the EDC technology, as I mentioned, to impact the data entry. Are you going to do it during the night when there is no data entry is done? But now that we're working, having an international clinical studies, maybe you cannot do it during the night, because, for example, in the West or in the East, they are still doing data entry. So you need to look at this aspect, each aspect that has to this mid-study update has how it will impact the processes of your study, of your current study. So not to jeopardize the data quality. As I just mentioned, that is, of course, you have to do validation, you have to do user acceptance testing plan, and you document everything that is done during this mid-study update. Also, what is important is to have some communication line with the project managers, with the CRA, with the site, to inform them about what happened with this mid-study update. So now we are going to do what are the changes that we happened during the mid-study during the mid-study update. Is it a process that has an impact on the users, on processes, and how to ensure that our SOP are covering that? So the mid-study, or when you are informed by a vendor about an update, as I mentioned, the risk-based monitoring, it's not only looking at the data, but it's also looking at your processes, looking at your SOPs, if everything is covered in case there is a mid-study update that needs to be done. And by looking on all that, which is your risk-based analysis, you can define if you will be doing this update or not, or if it's something that can be done later on or something like that. And that is what we call it. You have to define your appropriate EDC data validation strategy to make sure that you are improving the quality based on some specific issues. Of course, when there is a different type of how I say, update of the software, you have to look also on your timelines, because you define the timelines in the beginning of the study, and if something happened mid-study, you need to look also at your timelines and to communicate the changes that may happen to communicate that to the study team as well as to the site staff. If there is an impact on your timelines, that is very important. Maybe an impact on getting the data at the last visit, last patient data. Maybe it will be postponed to, maybe it will postpone also the database lock or something like that. So all this aspect has to be reviewed and analyzed when you have this new information saying, okay, we have a new update that has maybe modified the functionalities, or maybe modified some screen data specification or something like that. So all this analysis has to be done and communicated within the team to make sure that the right decision will be taken. The decision is not only taken by the data manager, but it's a team effort. It's a discussion with the IT, with the PM, with the CRA, and also with the upper management to make sure, are we going to implement this this update, or are we going to not to use this update for this specific which is running. And depending also when, where are you in terms of your study, if you are at the beginning or if you are close to the database lock or something like that, that also this parameter has to be taken into consideration during your risk-based analysis. And of course, I mean, as what we said, communication is very important for these processes. I will leave now to Mrs. Alessandra to explain you about the online learning as well as the registration. Go ahead, Alessandra.
So thank you, Farida, for this for the explanation on the course. So just a few lines on the online learning. So the online learning is an asynchronous learning. So it means that you will learn at your own pace. The course is available 24/7 at any time, at any place. So it is perfect for any kind of time zone, no matter where you're from. It's deadline driven. So you will have some assignments and case studies to submit every week, and it's collaborative. So you will have a discussion platform where you can exchange ideas both with the instructor and with your peers. It is instructor facilitated, so the platform, the discussion platform will be facilitated by the instructor, which will help you throughout the course. And finally, it's a Moodle platform, so it means that it's a modular object-oriented dynamic learning environment, meaning that it's all going to be through an online education platform. And finally, I would like to inform you about some registration, the registration process. For the registration, you can visit our website scdm.org and visit our education platform where you can find the EDC2 and register for it. For any question, you can contact us at learning@scdm.org. And we hope to see you there, to see you at the course. And I would like to thank you, Farida, to taking the time today for this information session, and I hope to see you all there. Thank you.